It's just a little demo project to show off what you can do with the LongPixel. Now normally we've pretty much marketed this as a RGB LED strip controller, but it can do more than that. If you take a little closer look here, you can see we've got 3 MOSFETs driving the outputs, which basically just means we've got 3 channels of PWM output. In general, the control software for that WS2801 chip is going to assume that you're using red, green, and blue channels, but it really doesn't matter. Now, I'm only using 2 of the channels. I've got one connected to channel 1 and one connected to channel 3, so basically red and blue. And what I've got hooked up there instead is some white LEDs. And the ones hooked up to the red channel are a 6000 Kelvin or cool white color temperature LED strip, and the ones hooked up to the blue channel is a warm white or 3000 Kelvin color temperature. Now what this makes up is a variable color temperature and brightness LED bar. It would probably be good for use in shooting video or taking pictures or whatnot, where you want to really dial in the color temperature you've got without having to deal with all of that stuff later in post. So the one I've got here is a little control box. Now, no, I didn't make this just for this one project. I happened to pull it out of the parts bin. It used to actually be on a pair of LED pants, if you believe that. There'll be a link to the details on the construction process and those pants themselves, as well as the firmware for this in the details of the post. And as you can see here, I've got a nice little dial, so I can scroll through the options. Only really 3: on, off, brightness, and color temperature. And if I go to brightness, so right now, it says it's at 5%, but you can see it's off. That's actually because I turned it off previously. You can see at the very top, it says it's currently off. It's at 5%, 3000 Kelvin. But if I dial that in a little bit up to 10%, they start to come on. And since it's set to 3000 Kelvin, you can see only the warm white or 3000 Kelvin LED strips have turned on. I can turn up the brightness. But if I go to the color temperature option, so right now I'm at 3000 Kelvin, but as I start dialing it up towards the higher end of the spectrum, you can see that the 3000 Kelvin lights start to dim and the 6000 Kelvin lights start to increase in brightness. The idea here is that it should maintain the same overall brightness, but then provide a blend between the color temperatures, so that you get something in between. So now I'm at 6000, and just the 6000 lights are on. That's really the only features with it. As I said before, there's an on-off. This button used to do something else on the pants, which I've just mapped to on and off. And as for the hookup, we've just got a 12-volt input, standard, power brick. This is complete overkill. I needed 5 volts for the controller, and this was easy and self-contained. I hate having to build up those 7805 circuits separately. And then the aforementioned controller and the all-important LongPixel. So you can see I've got it wired right into the inputs. I could, if I wanted to, make many of these bars, hook them up all together, but only use one controller, and then just chain it off in the end here onto the next bar. And then it goes and hooks up to the LEDs. Next up, you'll see a real quick build process.